I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or you love Trump or you hate Trump or you're a socialist. It doesn't make a difference. If we can't help support small businesses, it's a real problem.
This is the Mobility Perspective, powered by Accra, driving the future of mobility with insights, innovation, and industry expertise.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Mobility Group, our new
Yeah,
podcast.
well, there were a lot of trademarks we had to navigate.
Almost there.
So it's not what it's named, it's the content that we provide.
Rudy Callegari, film producer extraordinaire, former drummer. So that's something Rudy and I have in common. Founder of Edge Rent-A-Car.
Edge Auto Rental, actually.
We don't even know.
I don't even know. We just call it Edge. Edge was started by myself and my business partner, William Harris, in 2006. We created Edge to specifically target the entertainment industry, which has been growing for many years in the New York tri-state area. We came to it, or I came to it, I probably a little bit different than most people get into the car rental industry. I was a film producer and a producer in the entertainment industry for many years, doing television and movies and many, many commercials and music videos. We saw a niche that New York was growing quite a bit, and there was a need for car and truck rentals. So that was the birth of our company, kind of around a very specific market. So it's probably a little bit different from how other car rental companies start. They go into a neighborhood or an airport, but we went after an industry. That was the birth of our company, which we just celebrated our 20th anniversary.
Wow.
Congratulations, 20 years. That's important for an important milestone for a car rental company, especially one that works on a niche.
Yeah, well, quite a few things have happened. One, our industry grew and we grew with it. And we were really kind of strategic about that. We supply vehicles for entertainment, so concerts, events, movies, TV shows, commercials, social media filming, which happens quite often now. We really focused around that, and we've been very lucky, and we work very hard at keeping our clients in that world happy. Things that are different than a typical car rental company. We're open 24/7. We never close. We have people manning the phones 20 hours a day. It's very geared towards the B2B world.
Back up for a sec. So, how did you get into the production, movie and TV production?
I got into the film industry because I thought it would be an incredible lifestyle to make believe. And as a kid, going to the movies was probably the greatest thing I could do on the weekend growing up in New York. That was in the 70s when it was the heyday of American cinema. Some of the greatest films ever created in the world were happening in the 1970s in America. So I thought it was what a fascinating place to be to make believe. So I went to art school, film school, and started working. I was 19 when I started working in the industry, and I did that for about 25 years until I actually was continuing to produce and run Edge collectively. And it was an amazing run. I filmed in about 25 different countries and I think 40 states. So it's literally traveling around the world, making what could have been a TV show or a movie or a commercial or a music video. And it was amazing working with some of the most talented creators in film and music. So it's a wild ride.
What does a producer actually do?
What does a producer do? If you kind of look at it like the building industry, an architect would be a director, and the general contractor or the person paying for the building would be the producer. You could be either financing the project or you could be the one who's actually working with the architect to physically make it. And that was the role that I enjoyed the most, is working with directors and studios or TV companies to physically come up with an idea and bring it to the final point, which we're turning on our TVs or going to the movies and watching it. So I would see the project from inception to the very end. That you would just call out a regular producer. Then there's executive producers or co-producers. There's many different names which carry different hats, but just the word producer is someone who's more or less seeing it from top to bottom.
So you're in the fascinating and wild and fun filmmaking business, working with super talented people. And naturally you said, boy, I'd really prefer to be in car rental.
One day I woke up and said, life is too much fun. I've owned many businesses. I started many companies, but I never did any brick and mortar. And creating Edge with my partner, who had been in the car rental business for many years, we saw a giant need, a giant niche. And we said, let's go after that. So we were very kind of targeted to one industry, and we were creating a very specific brand for that industry. We happen to be renting cars. It could have been anything, right? We could have been creating a different kind of industry vendor business for the entertainment business. We just went after vehicles because we knew that there was a need. And again, my partner, William Harris, he's been doing this since he was 16 years old, and extremely talented guy. And together we just went after that. And that, quite frankly, was extremely creative. Starting a business from scratch, we literally started with one vehicle and have grown our fleet to almost 1,000 vehicles now. And that process of building a business is extremely fulfilling and creative. Taking my skills as, instead of creating a movie or a TV show or a commercial, I created a business. But it's kind of the same process along the way.
It kind of looked like, yes, you went into the brick and mortar world, but also you moved from the world of scripted production to the world of unscripted production. Because at the end of the day, I don't know if you feel that way, but every time I've operated a car rental company, I feel like I'm in a reality show, and it's just unscripted and things just are amazing. Every day is different. I can just imagine what you've seen in this industry being also connected with the entertainment world. What's like a highlight that you can tell us about going from one world to the other one and then making sure that both blend together in your business plan?
In the beginning, it was very difficult. In the film industry, we work 24/7 until the project is done. When you own a company that there's never an end date, it was tough not to work 20 hours a day because the problems never end, right? The customers keep coming in every day. There's no end date. So that was a big learning curve for myself on moving into a different kind of universe where people go home at 5 o'clock at night and turn off till the next day, where in the entertainment industry, you turn off when it's done. So that was different. But we started the business in 2006, and 2008, we had a financial crisis. If we were lucky enough to get a loan, it was at 25%. But we knew that our industry was growing and we needed to grow. So we were making very difficult decisions on building our fleet and growing when interest rates were insanely high. And of course, that kind of stabilized after a few years, but that was a wild experience. I'd never gone to a bank to borrow literally tens of millions of dollars to buy depreciating assets. And as we all know in our industry, you buy a vehicle and you think you know where it's going to be in 2 years, but you really don't know. So it's a little scary, but taking risk was always part of what I had done in my previous world. So it was difficult, but it was manageable. And of course, COVID came and the world got shaken up yet again in a very scary place. And then after COVID, the vehicle prices went skyrocketing, and we knew that was a bubble. And there's been a lot of kind of crazy ups and downs through those 20 years that kept us up at night. Our industry is no different than many others who were in the same position during those times, right? Trying to predict the future, which none of us could ever do, and we always get it wrong. I love it when a bank asks for a 3-year projection. I'm like, if I could give you a 13-week, I'd be happy. And it's not trying to say that we don't know. It's no one could tell us what's going to happen in the future.
When you started, what was your initial fleet size? What did you start with?
I'll tell you how it happened. My partner and I were talking about starting a car rental company, and we were going back and forth. And I was producing a television commercial at the time. William comes to my office, and we're sitting there having lunch, and we're talking, and we've been talking about this, and we said, all right, are we going to do this? And we both looked at each other, said yes. So I turned around and looked at my production coordinator, and I said, what's the next vehicle we need to rent? She said, well, we need an SUV in 2 days from now. And William and I literally got up, walked over to the Chevy dealer. I threw down my, I don't know, I think it was a Visa card, and we walked out of there with some Chevy SUV, and that was it. Threw some plates on it. Now we had a car rental company. No name, no nothing. We got one and then two, and I think the first year we went to the car rental show, I think we had about 20 vehicles. Everybody looked at us like, why you have 20 vehicles? That's nothing. And then we came back the next year, I think we had 40 or 50. And then the next year we had 100. And we were doubling in size, and it was growing. And then little by little, we started getting financing, and insurance was a big deal. We were sub-renting from other car rental companies. That was a way in which helped us grow in the beginning. As long as you're willing to work nonstop and you've got a credit card, you're in business. And that's how we started. I think literally between the two of us, we put in maybe 50 or 100,000 bucks in the first year, which we thought was an enormous amount of money. But I mean, could you imagine starting a car rental company with 50 grand right now?
That might get you one vehicle these
Yeah.
days.
And I think a 15 pass van back then was about 20 grand. Maybe it was 25 grand. Now they're 60. The world has changed, but you just keep going.
You're now on season 20 of your business. Edge is on season
Yeah.
20 with over or around 1,000 vehicles.
Yeah.
And all of these are for the entertainment industry, right?
No, that's our biggest client. Our specialty is kind of morphed into B2B. So florists will come to us for refrigerated vehicles. Moving companies come to us for box trucks. I think we have about 50 vehicles on with FIFA right now, vans for hotels and whatnot. We do camps. We have some camps going this summer. A lot of retail companies use us a lot, sometimes moving their merchandise around or getting their executives around. We're the phone call if you need 20 of something. A lot of concerts that come through New York, the Philharmonic, they do a summer series. They're one of our clients. Big events, big music shows. That's our real specialty right now. We can't compete with the Budget and Avis and Hertz to rent a vehicle to the general public because we just don't have that buying power. So where we come in is we could guarantee you if you need one black SUV or you need 10 of them. When the UN comes in September, sometimes they need 10 black SUVs to take around diplomats, and they all have to be equal. We could accommodate that, and we could guarantee you that vehicle, which is quite different from the business model of one of the majors or, someone at the airport, which gives you a mid-sized car, and it could be one of many different ones. A lot of our clients want very specific vehicles. So that's where we come in, and we're there 24/7 to solve the problem.
So you're kind of highlighting what most people probably don't know about our industry, that rental cars support, of course, business travel, personal travel, but there's all other sorts of uses for it, obviously the production, movies, TV. Talk to me a little bit about what's going on in that world right now. Isn't most of that getting outsourced to other countries?
Yeah, absolutely. The film industry is changing a lot. The industry as a whole has been outsourcing quite a bit to around the world, mostly due to the cost of the rising prices in America. Labor, as we all know, minimum wage has gone up significantly in most states, and they're looking to raise it even more. So the cost of everything, right? Look at the cost of what you're paying at the grocery store in the last few years, probably went up 20, 30% or maybe more. So manufacturing has offshored. We're working hard to bring that back. We've started a coalition called CAP, Coalition for American Production, to help bring filmmaking back into America, to help car rental companies and other vendor companies that help support the industry. What's interesting about the car rental industry is, technology has changed so many of our businesses all around, but we still have to get our product around, and that's rolling on a rubber tire, right? So although technology has changed quite a bit, and that has changed the film industry, which has made it go offshore. When we are here, they still need our product. So we advocate quite a bit for bringing industries, or keeping industries rather, in the US, and that kind of helps all of us. For us, obviously, it's car rental, but it could be anything.
What's next? Where do you think things are going?
Well, like most car rental companies, we're trying to get a handle on what the residual value of fleets are going to look like in the future, and what's that engine, right? As much as many of us love electric vehicles, or whether you like them or not, they've taken a huge, huge hit in the resale market. They've crashed. Many companies have gotten hurt buying vehicles of electric engines, and we'd love to be greener than we are, but we're very concerned about that market. That's something that keeps us up at night. Whereas the future of driverless cars, Waymo's doing a phenomenal job, but I think we're still quite a while away from many of us using that technology to go more than, around your local city. So there's going to be a need for the industry for a while. Obviously, gas prices affect our industry. I could imagine in a few months when we get the reports for this summer, numbers are going to be down because gas is Queens today was $6 a gallon. That's huge. That's not good for any industry, right? Any product that you've ever had in your hands, it's probably been on 4 or 5 trucks, maybe a ship or two, a plane, a train. So when fuel goes up, that hurts us. So those are things that we think about, but I think the car rental industry is a good industry to be in, providing that you're able to get in and out of your fleet in a timely manner where you don't get hurt. And I think that's the magic ball we're all looking at. As far as the film industry, technology is changing it quite a bit. Everyone's got a mobile television and TV studio in their hands. Content will always be wanted. That keeps the entertainment industry pretty solid. It would be great if more products were made in America. I think that helps our economy, that helps our country. I think maybe some of the biggest problems our country is going through is that we're sending too many products to be made in other countries that we would hope could be made back here.
You just touched on a few very interesting topics, like, for example, gas prices and exports, imports. What is Edge rooting for? What are you trying to fight for? What would you change as a company, both in the industry and outside?
I think the federal government needs to help small businesses at a better rate than they're doing right now. Small businesses are the backbone of our country. Most people work for a small business. Right now, it's extremely difficult for a small business to get a loan. The price of insurance, the price of fuel, the price of rent has skyrocketed in the last, 5 years. That's a real issue. When I advocate in DC or locally in New York, we talk about that quite a bit. We really need help. We need a lot of help. Health insurance is costing us an enormous amount of money, and it's disproportionate to a company of our size. And we offer health insurance, and many of my employees can't afford health insurance with a copay that we're paying the majority of it. And it's really difficult. So in a perfect world, the federal government does more to help small businesses and we'd be a much better country. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or you love Trump or you hate Trump or you're a socialist. It doesn't make a difference. If we can't help support small businesses, it's a real problem.
How many families depend on it?
We've got about 70 employees right now. William and I have 5 children that are biological and 70 that we go to work for every day. It's extremely important that we're able to be there for them.
So you're a small company, but still you have a big relevance in your local market. You have big relevance with many families, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Many even children that are not yours, but depend on you and William and Edge for their daily livelihood. So that's a great growth, a great thing that you're doing as a company, as part of this industry.
Yeah, and I wish we could give our employees even more benefits than we do. We try to give them a few weeks off, vacation time, and we really encourage them to take time to be with their families and insurance and 401k and buying lunches and trying to do so much. And we really wish we could do more, but it's extremely different. It's difficult for small companies. We're all are working on very, very small margins. And when interest rates go up, when gas prices go up, when rent goes up, it's not like the company is making less money. It's our employees bring less home is what it comes out to be. And that's something that I think if the federal government really took a better look at, how do we help people? Spend less money on missiles and more on helping feed families.
I'm kind of pro missile. I'll just put it out there.
Well, that is your old benefactor.
All right. Want to switch to a segment that we call the holy shit moment. The WTF segment. We talk to car rental operators. We hear stories. Everybody's got a few. What's the craziest thing that you've seen or have encountered in this business?
One of our clients, who we assume was drunk, went off the road into a house, and the car and house burned down. And luckily no one was hurt. That was a phone call. Hey, we're not returning the car. And then they sent us a picture. A lot of our cars end up in Mexico, and they weren't going there to get tacos. They get stolen.
How do you know? How do you know they weren't going there to get tacos?
You know what? they probably bought the taco stand because the car never came back. It's kind of how brazen people are that think they could come in with a phony ID and a phony credit card and try to rent a vehicle. That always surprises me, but that happens. There was a shootout. Cop ran into our lot chasing a guy, pulled out his gun and just opened fire. Thank God no one got hurt. Your vehicle to the body shop to take out bullet holes. I guess, that's an American car rental company story. I bet you don't get that up in Canada, in the UK. We don't call those things crazy anymore. It's just like, okay, so what happened? Yeah, a cop came in and shot up the cars. How many cars do we have to fix? 3. All right. New York City didn't pick up the tab on that, but that's okay. Boys in blue are keep us safe. That's probably it. Nothing too crazy.
Anything fun you've gotten back in your vehicles after, like, for example, a movie production, like a prop that you're like, wow.
Oh, there's always equipment and things, but nothing crazy. The film industry is, we make things look exciting. To actually make a movie it's a very long and almost boring process. I mean, it's exciting to make it, but a TV show or a movie, right? A movie that's 90 minutes could take maybe 150 days of filming. It's a very long time. If you finish with 30 seconds to 1 minute a day of final product, it's a good day. So it takes quite a long time. So the excitement is what we sell, but to create that is not necessarily exciting when you're there on the moment to moment aspect. We've probably had about every top movie star or recording artist sitting in our vehicles from one time to another, which was great. We bought an S-Class Mercedes for Marty Scorsese for a film that he was doing because he wanted one. And I couldn't wait for him to get out of it so I could drive it. So that was a nice trade-off. He drove it for a year and then I did for 2. There's a lot of celebrity celebs in our vehicles, but it's kind of not really exciting. Our logo has been seen on social media. I think it was like way north of 1 billion times because a lot of celebs, when they're on set, they'll do something, create a social media and our logos in the back, and it'll go viral and get, you know, millions of hits. So that we know. So that's free advertising, which is nice.
Who's the nicest celebrity you've worked with?
There's an amazing amount of like wonderful people in the industry. I really won't name names, but most people are really wonderful. They're very rarely are people idiots. I won't name the bad ones, that's for sure. But there's some great people out there. Adam Sandler's incredible. He films in New York a lot. There's tons of them.
Final thoughts. If you were going to get into the car rental business today, you're starting out, would you do it? And what advice would you pass on to somebody who's either thinking about or has recently started?
Would I do it? Yeah, I absolutely would do it. Again, as I mentioned earlier, AI and technology is changing all of our industries, but we still need to get from A to B. I would give kind of the same advice that I took myself. You're never going to be able to compete as a small independent car rental or truck rental business with the majors. So whatever market you're in, go after something that they're not doing. And that's where you find your niche. What are the local businesses? And then I would also, whatever niche you're into, advocate, find out who the government group is that's advocating for that industry and become part of it. Being part of ACRA has been incredible for us as we really know what's happening in the industry and being part of helping make the right changes. So become involved politically, regardless of what business you go into, and do something in a niche where your competitors are not there for whatever reason. And there's plenty of that around. For us, it was entertainment. That's one way to look at it. And really make sure you're keeping an eye out on residual value because that's where you could really get hurt in our industry. Timothy Leary. The best time I ever had, I did a TV show with Timothy Leary. And if you guys remember, if you're at a certain age, you know who Timothy Leary is. I was producing a Japanese TV show, and Timothy Leary, we had him playing God. And we were filming at night, and him and I would go out for dinner. And his agent came to me and said, he can't drink. And I'm like, okay. So we'd go out for dinner at like 10, 11 o'clock at night. And immediately he'd start ordering, vodkas, whatever, and wine. And we'd sit there. And after 2 hours of him telling me stories of his life, that was probably in my 20s at the time. And I'm just sitting there saying, oh my God, I'm with, the man who has changed so many people's lives. I'd bring him back to set drunk and he would act like God. That was a fun experience.
So when I was first signed to the music industry, a record label flew me to Los Angeles. It was my very first flight to Los Angeles on somebody else's dollar. It was Deaf American, Rick Rubin's label. This A&R guy was really hot to sign me, so he flew me down. Because I'm a hustler, I decided I'm going to meet with a couple other labels on his dime while I'm there. I go to one of the labels and I go to the 7-Eleven across the street. I'm getting a soda and I hear this girl's voice and she says, Sharky. And I look up and it was this girl that I used to date. And we stopped dating. It was amicable. Wasn't any big deal. She was happy to see me. I said, hey, how you doing? What's going on? And she said, oh, I'm working in LA. What are you doing? I said, I'm down here for a label. And she said, let me introduce you to my friend, Timothy. And there was this old man standing right behind her, older man. And I introduced him and he goes, Sharky. And he was chuckling. And she was working as his assistant towards the very end of his life, his personal assistant, and helping him out with things and stuff. But I sat there and talked with Timothy Leary in 7-Eleven for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. And that's actually one of my funnest celebrity experiences. That's crazy.
It's fun meeting really creative people. I worked with a lot of great musicians, David Byrne. And what an incredibly talented man. And he was directing a music video. I spent like 2 or 3 days with him on the set, and everybody was just like dancing and having a party. It was like we weren't even working. I did a lot of stuff with Bon Jovi. They were great. John Bon Jovi was like the sweetest guy in the world. It's funny how like a lot of musicians get this like bad rap, these bad boy raps. I think one of the hardest working people, Beyonce, she worked for 20 hours doing a music video. She did like 7 or 8 costume changes, hair, wardrobe, and would come out and dance for like 10 minutes nonstop, go back, change, and do it again. And it just never ended. And I was just so utterly impressed with her dedication and perseverance and professionalism. She was phenomenal. And, you look at her career and it's like, yeah, she's in the top of her game. With Michael Jackson didn't show up for a 3-day shoot. It was a charity event. And he was supposed to show up for that and he never showed. That was weird, but who knows what else he had going on. For the most part, people in the entertainment industry, they're really hardworking. And it takes an enormous amount to be in front of the camera and to be forward facing, where you'd go out for dinner with someone and the whole restaurant wants to come over and say hello and shake your hand and buy you a drink. I was more impressed on when you're with celebrities and you're out in public and how they handle the people who are out there they just want to come by and say hi and say, oh my God, I love your work. But, imagine you go off for dinner with your wife and every second person that walks by just comes over and wants to shake your hand. It's not easy. So every now and then when someone snaps and says, get away from me, and then that's the snippet in the news saying, oh, he's a horrible person or she's a horrible person. It's not that way. It takes an enormous amount to be at the top of your game and stay there when you're a celebrity. So to me, I always wanted to be behind the camera because I always thought being famous would be a curse. I'm sure if we stayed on, I'd come up with a million more stories. I need to be careful on what I say in public.
Rudy, thanks so much for being on the podcast. We really appreciate it. The man, the myth, the legend, Rudy Callegari.
Thank you, guys. Rudy. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Mobility Perspective. For more information on the present and future of mobility, follow us on your favorite podcast listening platform. We'll see you next time.